obviously did not have their season go the way they wanted it to after a disappointing finish. Obviously, Tua got hurt early on in the year, came back. They made a decent run, fell short, but I have the top moves that they need to make to get this team back on track inside of their playoff window with Tua Tagovailoa at quarterback and all the aging stars they have on defense, and which was a top 10 defense. So please watch the end. This is where the key pickup is going to be for the Miami Dolphins, and you will not want to miss that. But first things first, we have to address the elephant in the room. It's the cap situation. The cap situation right now for the Dolphins is not that great. I believe they're somewhere around negative $7 million they need to convert right now into, positive cap situation, which means they're going to have to push some of that money into the future. Okay. And to do that, they have to decide who is getting, a restructured contract, who's going to get their bonus, make something into a bonus here, make up some cap space, because there are some veterans out there that they need to go get to fill some of the spots on this team. Now, I understand what a lot of people want. Everyone wants the flashy picks, things like that. But the guys I would be looking to restructure and hold on to are on the defensive side of the ball. A lot of these guys are key components in a top 10 defense. This defense was a top 10 defense, and they give it the 10 fewest points. They were top 10 in yards allowed. They did very well against both the run and the pass, both top 10. So this is a top 10 defense the Miami Dolphins are returning right now. Then you look at some of the guys, the names that are on that defense here. You have Jalen Ramsey, Hill on the offensive side. Obviously, these guys could get a chance to have their contracts restructured to give a little bit extra cap room. And that's really what they need to go do, because they have to start really, really early protecting Tua Tagovailoa, keeping him healthy, keeping him upright, and reducing the hits he takes, which they did do a pretty good job. QB pressure, sacks, things of that nature. But you just need to try to remove as much of that as possible. The man has a tendency to get hit, and when he gets hit, bad things happen. You do not want to keep seeing that. And you need to maximize this window that you're in, because believe it or not, even though the Miami Dolphins did not make the playoffs last year, this is a playoff team. This is a team that, they have a few things to figure out, and we're going to get into those, but this is a playoff team. They are the closest thing right now, for sure thing, to be a threat to the Buffalo Bills for the AFC East. That is, without a doubt, truth. That is factual. No one can disagree with that. No one can argue that fact. The Miami Dolphins are closer than the Jets are. They're closer than the Patriots are right now, and these are the things they need to do to take that leap, to take control of really what's a wide open AFC East, as we saw the Bills, Josh Allen, James Cook, those two-headed monster in the backfield, but they don't really have anything outside of weapons, and you saw what happens when those two guys really don't get the opportunities that they need to get running the football when they lost to the Chiefs in the AFC East Championship game. And we also saw what the Chiefs are handled with what happens up front when you have a dominant front. I think the Miami Dolphins have a dominant defensive front. You don't need to put anything there. What you do need to do is look at the offensive line. Obviously, Armstead is contemplating retirement. That leaves a gaping hole at tackle. You also have, I believe your other tackle is a free agent. You do have a rookie in there right now from last year, a younger guy, I believe, who could fill in for Armstead, but I think that you still need to address the offensive line. You need to make sure you get in. Now, you have some choices. There's Ronnie Stanley, Ravens tackle, had a down year in 2023, looked to return to form in 2024, but he's 31. Do you really want to tie up a lot of money in an aging tackle? Outside of that, there's not a lot out there for the offensive line. You're really going to have to look at the draft, but there is a guy I am looking for here. He's part of a Colts offensive line. He's a free agent now. Will Freeze is a solid guard, interior lineman. I think could be very, very helpful to this Miami Dolphins team. Someone that could be very, very capable that you would want to utilize inside of this team. So I'm thinking that that's probably your best bet from a free agent tackle standpoint. Will Freeze, very good guy, very large guy, has been a very sturdy, very stout for the Colts for a long period of time. I think he's a very, very good fit, especially if you can free up the cap space to go get him. Not a lot of people are going to be looking at Will Freeze. I think he's a cheap contract. You can get him for 3, maybe 4 years. Not a lot of salary cap you need to put towards him, but he's a solid player, good player. Once you get down with that, the tackle positions are your next biggest thing. I think from a right tackle standpoint, and like I said, you got Ronnie Stanley out there. I like Alaric Jackson. Alaric Jackson, he's a younger guy. He's one of the younger tackles out there, predominantly a right tackle that you would want to go get. Someone that's very sturdy, young. He's going to be a little more expensive. I think they're looking about 3 years, $40-ish million, depending on how you structure that contract. You could fit him into the salary cap, but his contract would grow over time, putting you in a kind of a salary cap pinch on the back end. But we're not worrying about 2026 here, Dolphins fans. We're not. This is the here and now. This is maximizing the current window, and you only have a few more years, maybe, of Tyreek Hill, based on some of the comments he had recently. You need to maximize that now. Will Freeze, getting Alaric Jackson, that's 2 positions of need. Really shoring up the offensive line, make sure the protection's good. Then you start to look at the draft, right? You get the salary cap stuff figured out. You kind of get some contract restructures. Like I said, I think your defensive side of the ball is fine. You need to concentrate on the offensive side. You need to concentrate on what people do well to win games late in the year. And what we saw is you need a between the tackles, brute force running back and a really good offensive line. I think the first thing you possibly do is you look at pick 13 and you go, okay, Josh Simmons is there. Kelvin Banks Jr. is there. I think Kelvin Banks has some questions about his height. If he's under 6'4", can he be a tackle in the NFL? That's a question. Josh Simmons, obviously, he's got some questions there as well, health and things of that nature, but he was just part of a, natty at Ohio State. So very, very solid tackle. Kelvin Banks was the best offensive lineman on arguably the best offensive line in football. I think that he can stick at tackle in the NFL. I'd say go get Kelvin Banks if he's available. If he's not available, or if they like Josh Simmons better, I say go get Josh Simmons. Both of these guys, left tackles, very physical guys, very, very what they need to fill that left tackle spot, just in case. And McDaniel said this himself. They're going to operate on the assumption that Armstead's not back, so you have to fill that spot. I think one of these 2 guys in the first round are a very, very good option. If you don't like either of these guys, you could trade back from 13. I wouldn't see a problem with that. Also, depending on how the board falls, who ends up there might be a chance to do that, move a little bit further back into the later part of the first round, accumulate some extra draft capital to have a better chance. Another guy I'm looking out for the offensive line is Willie Lampkin. Willie Lampkin out of North Carolina. I think that is a very, very good, solid guard. He's one of the top-rated guards. I think currently he's going off at roughly a PFS 120 prospects. So he's a 3rd rounder, but one of the better guards available. Interior linemen don't get a lot of love in the first round, realistically, outside of possibly Will Campbell out of LSU. If his arm length is under 34 inches, a lot of people think he'll kick inside. Already mentioned Kelvin Banks with his height, and a lot of people think that he might kick inside in the NFL because of these sort of limitations that not being tall enough, not having long enough arms do with more lanky defensive edge players that we see in the NFL these days. But that doesn't get you guys what you need. I think these are all great pieces. These are great moves to shore up some things, to make sure you have a solid, capable system there. And I know a lot of people want to say, oh, what about, this? What about trying to get Tet, or where's the Luther Burden talk in the first round, or, Ejbuka, or any of those guys? Like, where's the wide receiver stuff? I don't think you guys need more wide receiver help. I think the system that McDaniel has in place down there with, Waddle and Hill and all the other weapons that you guys have, I think that you're A-okay with what you got. What you need is that late season, between the tackles, tough running back, guy who can do it all for you, because we've seen some down the stretch where the Dolphins sort of slow down a little bit. The team's built around speed. They're not really built around power. You don't really have that power guy. Raheem Mostert's gone now. You have a lot of speed, and it's great. Speed is flashy. It's great in the regular season. It's great early in the regular season where, the weather's warm and it's good and it's dry and you're not having to worry about snow or anything like that, or being, like when the hits don't hurt as much and everyone's healthy. Speed's great. But when speed fails, you need something to fall back on. And my fallback guy is someone the Dolphins can get in the second round. I think Cam Scatabo out of ASU is probably the perfect Miami Dolphins running back. The guy is all about football. He's a straight shooter, and you just watch him bounce off, would-be tacklers like he's in a pillow fight with them. They're just going left and right, and he's just going and getting yards. Great running back. He's also a little bit of a gadget guy. He can throw the ball. I think they just saw a post recently. He said his vertical was 39.5, so, he's an explosive athlete, lots of leg strength, lots of push. Big, bulky guy, something that Miami really hasn't had behind the offensive line to hand the ball off to in probably close to 10 years. I mean, let's be fair. So he's not the prototypical back that the Dolphins need, but I believe you add Cam Scatabo, you add some of this injection to the offensive line with the offensive scheme McDaniel throws, this top 10 defense, and the Miami Dolphins are right back in the conversation.
This has been Between the Uprights. Football is life. The rest is just details.